One night apart, but in that night you tore my heart. If only you had slept alone, if those seas had not been sown. Oh, you could come home and you would know that all you want is right here in this room. All you want, and all you need is sitting here with you. I hear your key turning in the dark. I won't be hearing that sound anymore. And you and your sin can leave the way you just came in. Send my regards to her. I hope you found that all you want is right there in that room. All you want, and all you need is sitting there with you. I'd like to watch you sleep at night, to hear you breathe by my side.
It's your variety. Easy, relaxing, refreshing. Perfect all summer long with Magic 92.5 WGHQ.
One month ago today, I was happy as a lark. But now I go for walks, to the movies, maybe to the park. I have a seat on the same old bench to watch the children play. You know, tomorrow is their future. But for me, just another day. They all gather around me. They seem to know my name. We laugh, tell a few jokes, but it still doesn't ease my pain. I know I can't hide from a memory, though day after day I've tried. I keep saying she'll be back, but today again I've lied.
Oh, I see her face everywhere I go, on the street and even at the picture show. Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? Oh, I hear her voice as the cold winds blow in the sweet music on my radio. Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her?
Oh,
another day comes to an end. I'm looking for a letter or something, or anything that she would send. With all the people I know, I'm still a lonely man. You know, it's funny. I thought I had her in the palm of my hand.
Tell me how you seen her.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen her?
Tell me
Have you seen her?
Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her?
Darker shame, darling, darker shame. Thank you for all the joy and pain. Picture show, second balcony was the place we'd meet. Second seat, go Dutch treat. You were sweet, darker shame, darling, darker shame. Save those lies, darling, don't explain. I recall Central Park in fall, how you tore your dress, what a mess. I confess, that's not all. Darker shame, darling, darker shame. Thank you for walks down Lover's Lane. I can see hearts carved on a tree. Let us intertwine for all time, yours and mine. That was fine. Darker shame, darling, darker shame. Thank you for seeing me again. Though we go on our separate ways, still the memory stays for always. My heart says darker shame, darker shame, oh darling, and darker shame. I said thank you for seeing me again. Though we go on our separate ways, still the memory stays for always. My heart says darker shame, darker shame. I'll be the same, darker shame.
Magic 92.5 WGHQ, playing the most music every hour. But we do need to take a break for some messages from local businesses. Don't go away. We'll be back with more of your favorite songs a lot quicker than those other radio stations.
Westchester Medical Center Health Network is committed to protecting your health then, now, and always. More than 100 years ago, we cared for the victims of the global influenza pandemic. Today, WMC Health is at the forefront of helping communities across the Hudson Valley stay strong throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. For more information on access to COVID-19 vaccination, testing, and treatment, go to covidinfo.wmchealth.org. Again, that's covidinfo.wmchealth.org. WMC Health, advancing care here.
This spring, from the creators of New York Lottery Scratch-Off games, comes a movie-themed ticket called $1 Million Premiere, which explains why I'm talking like this. Play today for a chance to win $1 million. Oh, and did I mention non-winning tickets get a surprise sequel? Enter the Second Chance promotion at nylpremiere.com for a chance to win cash and movie-themed prizes. New York Lottery's $1 Million Premiere, now playing in a store near you. Rated 18+. You must be 18 years or older to purchase a lottery ticket. Please play responsibly.
We've heard a lot about heroes recently. Here at Anderson Center for Autism, we thank each one of them, especially those who work with us daily to optimize the quality of life for people with autism. We're in awe of their courage and commitment. It's time to publicly applaud their good work. Join us in expressing our collective gratitude by making a donation in their honor at andersoncenterforautism.org/donate. It will mean the world to them, just as they mean the world to us.
Hi, we're James.
And Mary.
We've been retired for 15 years and never been busier.
Life's tight, but we eat right by making whole grain sandwiches and chopped veggies.
We're heading out to our grandkids' soccer game, so prepping meals saves us time and money and makes lunch easy to pack.
Learn how you could eat right when life's tight. Visit snapedny.org.
SNAP-Ed is funded by USDA Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. This institution is an equal opportunity provider.
Magic 92.5 WGHQ. Great songs, magic memories.
Roll out those lazy, hazy, crazy days of summer.
If they say why, tell them that it's human nature.
They say, Brandy, you're a fine girl. What a good wife you would be. You're the life that breathes in me. You're the biggest part of me.
It's your music variety from Magic 92.5 WGHQ.
People who need people are the luckiest people in the world. Where children needing other children, and yet letting our grown-up pride hide all the need inside, acting more like children than children. Lovers are very special people. They're the luckiest people in the world. With one person, one very special person, a feeling deep in your soul says you are.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas for Habitat for Humanity Restore. Habitat Restores are nonprofit home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used furniture, building materials, and appliances to the public at a fraction of the retail cost. The Ulster County Restore at 406 Route 28 in Kingston needs your donations. Call our hotline at 845-853-7499 to schedule your free pickup. And thanks.
We all play a role in keeping our community safe.
Every day, we move in and out of each other's busy lives.
It's easy to take for granted all the little moments that make up our everyday.
Some are good, others not so much.
But that's life.
It's when something doesn't seem quite right
that it's time to pay attention.
Because only you know what's not supposed to be in your everyday.
So protect your everyday.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This programming is brought to you by the Friends of Kevin Cahill. As a strong advocate of local broadcasting, Assemblymember Cahill urges you to support Kingston Community Radio with your time and donations. Your contributions keep KCR vital and on the air at FM 92.5, AM 920, and on the web at mykcr.org. Please join Assemblymember Cahill and send your gifts of $10, $25, or more to Kingston Community Radio, Post Office Box 4364, Kingston, New York 12402. Together, let's keep KCR alive.
All right, folks, this is Thunder Thursday. Oh, man, I don't know.
You know, it's only once a month that I come on, and I never remember you're going to do that. It does.
It just startles
wake
you.
me up.
It wakes you up, startles you.
And you've got a good voice.
Well, no, it's just, a little gravelly occasionally. I can do that early in the morning. So
do that intentionally, or is it natural?
No, it's a little intentional. A
You
little
probably
forced
realize by
air.
now in
Forced air.
In this partnership,
Right.
You're never going to be able to do the introduction because I tend to interrupt. So go
We
ahead,
should,
Tony.
we should tell the listeners who we are. This is Tony Marmo.
And Donald Williams. Good morning.
Good morning, and we're broadcasting from 16 Lucas Avenue, beautiful downtown Kingston, and
Beautiful what?
Uptown. Oh, Uptown Kingston. Sorry about that. I was thinking about Burbank, but
Yes, yeah. I remember those introductions. You and I
Uptown
are probably just old
Sorry about
enough
that.
to understand.
Yeah. But speaking about downtown, down in Pankaki area, off of Delaware Avenue, there was a house fire. I saw that this morning coming in.
Pankaki.
Pankaki area. Yeah, right. So hopefully everybody's okay. So Kingston Fire Department there with a lot of trucks and a lot of people outside. So some smoke coming out of the top window. So hopefully everyone's all right.
Early this morning.
Early,
Sure.
pretty early. Yeah. So yeah, how we doing? We're
well
having fun yet?
We're surviving. I'm
surviving.
Reading
Okay.
the Freeman.
Yeah.
All 2.5 pages of it.
Right. And it's more narrow than it's ever been in the past, right? It just
something. How funny you say that.
I'm not
It
kidding
is.
you. It
How
just-
clever. Marketing. It's
pretty-
amazing.
Yeah.
They don't have enough material to print.
Right.
So
Well,
they
less-
reduce the number of pages.
less
but
cost and less cost too, right?
I didn't
less
even think of
paper.
that.
Sure, less paper.
Candidly, I don't know how they survive. I truly don't. But
Yeah.
it must
I don't
be
know.
hard to read the New York Times on the subway.
Right.
So big, as I'm trying to, which we don't have the problem reading
Subways
this on
or-
our subways.
That's correct.
So how are you?
I'm doing great. Winding down with my Rotary year. I had a meeting with the Kingston Rotary Club last night, which is right in the backyard, which is great. Bill Calderera, president, and they're
How
doing.
did the Rotary start, Tony? What exactly? I know about Lions Club. I know about Kiwanis.
Yeah, it was 4 businessmen at the time in 1905. They all had businesses, and they thought that their businesses would improve if they gave back to the community. They had this thought process that if they helped people, people would help them in their business. And I'm not sure it was that well thought out per se, other than they wanted to make the community better. The 4 of us, we kept meeting around, and one week we'd go to your office, next week they go to my office, next week we go to the other guy's office.
You guys came to the district attorney's office and then to
we
judges'
did.
chambers.
1905. We were there. And and the first, and this was in Chicago, the first project they did was public restrooms in Chicago. They pooled their money and said, people are not going where they should be going, or I swear to God.
What did you say? You said they pooled their money.
They pooled their money and created public toilets. So, so then and Kingston, so Rotary was started in 1905. Kingston Rotary Club was chartered in 1916. So only 11 years after the organization was founded. I think the big cities went first, like New York is, I think, chartered in 1910 or something like that. But it's amazing that Kingston is the oldest club in our district, out of 56 clubs in 8 counties.
I remember when I was DA, I was asked to speak at a couple of Rotary luncheons.
Yeah, they're...
What a good group of people.
I mean, up until 1987, women were not allowed in Rotary, nor Lions, nor Kiwanis.
Yeah, we're actually entering our 80th year. 1941 is when Kingston Lions Club started.
And when were women? I didn't know women.
Women were allowed in 1988, I believe. In all service organizations, and that was only because of the Supreme Court. They didn't do it willingly. They did it kicking and scratching, and so yeah.
Oh gosh, that's astounding.
Yeah, it is astounding.
Even more astounding.
What is more astounding?
Reading in the, as Sean O'Brien would affectionately call it, the shad wrapper.
Vince DeLuca used to call it that too.
Is that the school budgets.
Right.
And two districts, they were all passed, but 2 districts asked for and received funding in their budget for school resource officers.
Oh, yeah, the SRO.
And I have very strong feelings about school resource officers that if time permits, we may discuss.
Well, we're going to have a half hour by ourselves, you know, well, not by ourselves.
My favorite time of the week.
It's at 8 o'clock.
Have you spoken to Leanne about
that means
this relationship?
There's no guests on at 8 o'clock. We have the Marbletown Rescue Unit at 7:30. Joe Vitti and
oh, great!
And then at 8:30 we have David Jurens and someone from Center for Spectrum Services. I think someone's also calling in about the great work that they do with children with autism and other.
Tremendous work.
Oh, it's tremendous work.
I'm really,
yeah.
I'm really interested in hearing.
Oh yeah, it's great. They've done an amazing job there. So what particularly caught your eye?
And I will tell you quickly how I feel about school resource officers.
Oh yeah, please.
Which are police officers that are placed inside of the schools for
right.
many different reasons. Well, some of the individuals, I have great respect, by the way, for one of the county legislators, Tracy Bartels. Worked with her on many different things when I was DA.
She's been around for a while, right?
She is, but she's excellent.
Yeah.
I think she's an independent that typically votes and I've forgotten what.
Both sides of the aisle, or
no, she's pretty much Democrat.
Okay,
but still, that's
okay,
fine.
Whatever.
But they are against it. Some of the people. 2 districts have it, and then I just read something about a report from the Attorney General about school resource officers, and it basically states that the Attorney General's office, in part, and I quote, "The presence of SROs, school resource officers, often perpetuates the same policing inequities that are reflected outside schools and does not yield a benefit in increased student safety that justifies their continued presence."
That's
I
Leticia
find that,
James, yeah.
yes, I don't know Attorney General James. I do know that she had the courage to stand up to Governor Cuomo.
Yeah.
But that is absolutely
the wrong message.
Blind. It's the wrong. Indeed, it is just the opposite. Now, in some schools, maybe you're not getting the right personnel.
Right.
You have to have personnel that can be empathetic, sympathetic.
Right. That's a selection issue.
But having a police officer, and I remember it in the drug recognition courses, DARE.
Yeah, drug awareness and recognition.
I really was very involved with. When those kids graduated, it did not matter the color of their skin.
Yeah,
it
true.
did not matter what their sexual orientation was.
Right.
They got to see police officers as their friend.
Right.
Not as the enemy.
Yeah.
They got to know the police officers well, and indeed, I remember participating and speaking at some of the graduations for DARE. These cops, still with a gun on, still in uniform, would be hugged by these students.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what it did is would help both the police officers understand what it's like to be a kid and what those kids are facing in a very difficult environment in school. And it had the kids see the officers as human beings and not the enemy. Now, I remember I was born and raised on Crown Street. It was very busy uptown Kingston.
Right.
The officers used to walk the beat.
Yeah.
I remember Tommy Barringer Sr.
Oh, nice.
Was a big cop. And seeing him in uniform walking in front of my house would scare the living
the daylights out of you.
Right.
Yeah.
But he would stop and talk to me.
Sure.
And there were times that I wouldn't be able to tell my father because occasionally I got in trouble as a kid, Tony.
Right,
I had a lot of
right.
sports. I was aggressive.
Yeah.
But I'd be afraid to tell my father out of disappointment and the fear of discipline.
Right.
But I could talk to Officer Barringer.
Yeah.
And because of that, I developed a healthy respect for police, but also not some unwavering, blind acceptance of them simply because they were authority.
Correct.
And that is one of the things that is terribly missing today in our young people, and especially now that police officers are villainized. You cannot look, as I used to tell my son and my daughter, you're going to police officers are no different than anyone else.
Right.
There are many good ones. There are many there are some that are not.
Name the profession,
But
name whatever.
when you get stopped by a police officer, right or wrong, they hold your future in your hands.
Yeah.
And you may want to look at them, try to get their badge number if they're giving you a hard time, but don't ask them for their badge number.
Yeah.
Don't confront them.
Yeah.
That is going to, that rare officer,
Right.
or the percentage of officers that are antagonistic and confrontational,
Yeah, it's just
that's
gonna
only
spark
going
that.
to
Yeah.
spark that. And
Yeah.
However, for the Attorney General's office to say that, a school resource officer, you have to get the right people. And I've seen certain school resource officers, I will not mention their names, they're typically retired officers, and sometimes retired for reasons that are not the greatest reasons. And sometimes they're not great, but you have to select. It's the personnel that runs a program. The program doesn't run a personnel. So anyway.
So the one of the school board candidates who ran this year, Michelle Milgram, was involved in a school shooting in her high school. I want to
didn't know
say
that.
it was Long Island.
I
but I'm
know
not sure.
Michelle well. Of course, her husband's John.
Yeah, and we had her on the air. I guess it was last week.
Bright lady. Did
Very
she
good.
win?
Great. She did not. No. But she told a story of cowering, worrying, and to me the lawlessness that would occur if there was no. I mean, school shootings are kind of a thing of the last 30 years or so. It started out in Columbine.
I remember
mostly.
Colorado.
But I think can't remember when
We
Michelle's
had-
was, but no, and it's frightful. I mean, I can't. And I'm not saying every SRO would prevent it, because there was one down in Long Island. I remember. I think it was at a college where the guy just hid.
Yeah, one hid. There have been I think one was killed in another jurisdiction.
Right.
Coming to the aid of the,
exactly. And so
and the safety is one issue.
Yeah.
I mean, that's important.
Yeah.
More importantly
Is
is the
relations,
fact, the
right.
relations.
Yeah,
And,
I get it.
we have to, especially now, with how police officers have been villainized. Villainized in the media. We have to reestablish a relationship where kids who are growing up can look at them for help and trust. And,
Right.
and look, I'm not naive. I prosecuted police officers
Right,
when I was an
right.
assistant
Hey,
DA.
yeah, that's
But at the same point, we had a case when I was district attorney. The defendant's name was Robert Bonelli, young man.
Yeah, I know that.
Sorgetes area. And he went into the
Best Buy.
Hudson Valley Mall, starting at Best Buy, with a semi-automatic, not automatic, semi-automatic, but 2 banana clips, which are illegal, the banana clips, and fired approximately 52 rounds. He wasn't firing at anyone. He was somebody that was doing this, I believe, for attention. But horribly dangerous. When we did a search of his house after the shooting occurred, we found his diary. And repeatedly he was mentioning going into the schools. So
Yeah, the threat is real.
It is, and
The threat
boy,
is real.
my kids are in school. I want somebody there that can protect them, especially from gangs now.
My
right?
good friend, and I'm sure you know him well too, Harry Waltman, has had
Yes.
a great, near the end of his career, I think he was at Bailey.
Yeah, Harry is a perfect example of somebody that was tremendous at it.
Oh my gosh.
Buddy
you know.
Wolf.
Yeah,
he
another
did it.
guy.
Tremendous.
John Hulbert, I think, was another one. Hulbert.
They're just
yeah.
And
Oh, I didn't know Buddy Wolf was a school
Buddy Wolf
SRO,
did it.
so-
Sure.
Oh, no kidding.
I'm not sure if it's an SRO, but I know he was after retirement. He was up at the Edson School on a regular basis in
Okay.
uniform.
Yeah.
So maybe it was some other duty, but he was there, and
Yeah.
you just have to find the right people.
Yeah, exactly. It's a
And
selection
developing
process.
that relationship and trust is far greater than teaching kids to hate people that are in uniform.
Right.
It simply doesn't do any good.
Yeah. I agree. So Lawrence and Don, Corey Kluber, no hitter. I watched a little bit of that game last night.
Oh, he threw one last night or a couple days
last
ago?
Night.
Last night.
Last night.
Last
Last
night.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
And shockingly enough, it wasn't against the Mets. Now the Mets, their outfield.
Yeah, their outfield got decimated, right?
Two guys brought up from the minors had no major league experience playing center and right. The guy in right now is 0 for 8 strikeouts.
8 strikeouts. You may want to think of another profession.
He made some
Yeah.
couple of tremendous plays, but yeah, a no hitter.
I watched maybe until the 4th or 5th inning, and I was talking to Leanne. I had no idea that the guy was throwing a no hitter. You know, baseball games can be a little boring, right?
You think?
So.
Well, there's only so many times I want to see somebody in uniform spit or touch an area of their body, which they shouldn't go there. I don't know. Do they teach that in the minor leagues?
I don't know. I what shocks me about a bunch of things about the baseball players today, but one in particular is how often they get injured. I mean, I just and these guys are like muscles on top of muscles. Like Stanton is hurt again. You know.
I think, and I heard
quad
this.
muscle.
I heard this somewhere. They now teach. I mean, athletes are pampered now. Let's be
Yeah,
real.
I know.
However, at the same point, they teach their players across the board that if you have any hint of discomfort,
Shut it
let
down.
us know. Let us know.
Yeah.
And then they shut the people down out of risk of more serious injury. Now, in the old days, you just rub a little dirt in it.
Yeah, Willie Mays,
But then-
Duke Snyder, those guys.
But
with
then
Mantle.
on the opposite end of the equation, you have Pilar, who is the center fielder for
Yeah,
the
got
Mets.
hit- drilled with a-
95 mile
in the
per hour
face.
pitch. Hit him directly in the nose.
It didn't hit the beak of the no. He hit a
No,
direct hit.
direct
How did
hit,
it not
and he-
smash his nose?
Multiple fractures of his nose. He goes to his knees, bleeding profusely.
Right.
But he will not let them take him out on a stretcher. He walks off.
Yeah, I saw that.
It was like watching a hockey game. And then the next day, I mean, there really are some
There's
good
a couple
things.
of standouts.
And he gives the bat. He's back in the dugout in uniform, not playing.
Yeah.
Horrible black eyes,
yeah,
nose
yeah.
swollen like this. He's
Yeah.
got to have multiple
Yeah.
surgeries. But he says he was heartbroken
Yeah.
because he wasn't there to be able to help his teammates because he knows they're short now of players.
Right.
So there still is some good. And he felt concern for the pitcher that hit him.
Right. The pitcher, was
Yeah,
not like
he
it
was traumatized.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. So what else is going on,
Well,
Lawrence? We're starting to think about Giants season for one, but more importantly for the KCR and Happy Christmas Fund combined, which is going to be November, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at the date now. I think it's November 4th.
November 4th is going to be our combined fundraiser for KCR and Happy Christmas Fund.
That's a great idea to do the two together. It must have been Lawrence's.
Yeah, it was.
November 4th.
Yeah.
And actually, the KCR Giant game is November 7th.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I have to wait to confirm with the guy that sits behind me to make sure that we can, switch trade tickets.
Yeah.
But I'm
So
sure
that's-
he'll say okay.
Yeah, so that's going to be a good thing. I think we had a pretty successful radiothon for the first time. I think it was March 31st. I don't know, we raised, last time I knew, about 28,000 in that neck of the woods.
Oh, no, it was like,
No?
it was, yeah, we've only collected like 19,800.
Okay.
So, but I think 22 was pledged.
Okay, 22
So,
was pledged.
It was,
All
it was still good for one day.
Right.
And most of that came from the fellow out in Sorgetes, was it not? They
Yeah,
really
Sir
were-
Cusano and
Yeah.
Bob and Greg Chorvis, those guys.
Great job, they
Great
did.
job. I was up yesterday in Saugerties, actually, at Sawyer Savings Bank, celebrated their 150th anniversary of their first deposit. The CEO, Doug Sturgis, was telling me a woman 150 years ago made the first deposit in their bank, $50. I don't know what year that was. I
was about to say how
something.
$50 is probably worth a great deal of money.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Back then, 150 years ago, was that maybe 1870?
You know, we're dating ourselves, but I can remember a gallon of gas was 32 cents.
Oh, yeah.
Loaf of bread, 28.
Right.
Wow, we're
Yeah.
old, Tony.
We are, but I was talking to some folks about, I asked them if they remembered what even odd days were. Even and odd days.
I do.
So
I do, because I was on a trip with my future wife to Washington, D.C. for reasons I can't recall, but traveling across the state lines, it was the first day they put the even and odd together.
Right.
I couldn't, the gas lines were horrendous, and my license plate was the wrong number.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I was able to persuade the person I can't get home without the gas. Boy,
Right.
what a...
Yeah, that was a...
President James Carter.
Yeah,
who
he was kind
one of
of
the
a-
first individuals to criticize other presidents.
Yeah.
Yet, what a disaster
Yeah,
that
he was a
presidency
he
was.
not a well-liked and
Brilliant man.
efficient. Yeah, brilliant guy, but not a leader, and couldn't figure it out. Not an easy job, obviously, but
No.
still.
But, apparently now if you watch Fox News, it's all about sipping warm milk and getting to bed on time.
And what's wrong with that?
How good is the media? By the way,
Yeah.
it is just wonderful to watch Fox News or MSNBC or now even CNN. And I say, where does the truth lie?
Yeah, right.
I thought the media was supposed to impart the truth to us and let us make our own
That
decisions.
started. I'm just curious. When did you think that's the media? I mean,
Walter
maybe
Cronkite,
Brinkley.
David Brinkley. They were the days that you got
Just reported
facts,
it as it was.
but they still made it interesting.
Right.
They still made it interesting. I remember John Milgram. We were talking about Michelle. John and I were fairly close when I was a chief assistant. I can't tell you what I told one of his journalism classes about John one time. He was an excellent
Oh, he
investigative
was.
reporter.
Yeah, he was.
When poor Raquel Knox
Yeah.
was so brutally murdered, Milgram had his sources. He was waiting outside of the road where we ultimately found Raquel's remains. He got tipped off. Even before the DA's office got to the scene, he was there. But I remember one time talking to him, and I'm going, the problem today with the media, John, is you guys slant everything. He goes, what do you mean slant? I said, well, you make your conclusion about what the article should be. You gather facts and you slant them toward the facts. He goes, we don't slant. We're taught to have an angle. I said, what do you mean taught to have an angle? This is the God's honest truth, Tony.
Right,
This-
that's a
wait,
good one.
Uh,
What happens next? I
Right.
still have the thesaurus.
Right.
Or the
Yeah.
dictionary. I said, what do you mean you had an angle? It's no difference between angle and slant. Absolutely. It's a journalistic method of, come on, John. So I pull, without knowing
Right.
it, pull the Webster's, it was
Yeah.
right in my small little assistant DA's office, pull the dictionary out, go to
Up
it.
angle.
The first definition of angle was the geometrical angle. Number two was, oh God, I wish I could remember the exact words, but it was to gather facts to reach a conclusion at a certain destination.
Predetermined.
Right. And at the end it said ... to slant, and then it said, as in news stories. I still have the dictionary at my home highlighted with that.
That's hilarious.
I said you can't. He denies this to this
That
day.
is hilarious. That's hilarious.
But, yeah, John, what a reporter he was.
Lawrence, what do you have there? You look like you're eating breakfast. Is potato
I went to
chips.
go get an egg sandwich this morning. I was a little late getting out of bed, so I got over there at 6:30, and there was a long line. So I grabbed
a bag of chips,
and a bologna sandwich. I was hungry, man.
I walk in,
and Raj has good meat over there. So you know.
Again, before you got here, and he eats this every time he's.
Well, I'm always eating. I got to eat something before I get on the air.
So,
I can't-
salami or
cranky or
pepperoni
grumpy.
slices in this little processed pack with cheese that had to be cut from Velveeta. How good is Velveeta, by the way? You've got to
I
wonder.
threw the
about-
cheese away. I didn't eat it.
Speaking about that, Leanne and I went to Arthur Avenue on Tuesday and had such a great time. You
don't get Velveeta at Arthur
No, you don't
Avenue.
get. I mean, the cheese there, it's like, I don't know, $15 a pound, though. I mean, it's not cheap. And it's a setup. You go in there and they have all this little samples, even with COVID, toothpicks, So you eat that, and then when you go to say, give me a quarter pound of this, he says, well, do me a favor, try this one. Try this one.
Yeah.
He's upselling. The guy's,
Absolutely.
and the upsell is
So
like.
then you say, I'll have an eighth. Give me an eighth of a pound.
How much is that? They don't answer you. No. But the upsell stuff was like, it was just melted in your mouth. The cheese was delicious.
Arthur
Delicious.
Avenue is just. I haven't been there for
Super
several years.
Oh, yeah, it's
and
great.
then isn't the Bronx Botanical Gardens
right next
around
to Fordham University, St. Barnabas Hospital. A lot of
Is
medical
it
folks.
safer now? In that I know surrounding Fordham at one time was not.
Not. It's fine in Arthur Avenue. I mean, it's.
How
it's
can
funny.
you find a parking spot there?
Well, it's interesting now because of the COVID situation. The restaurants have taken up, much like Kingston, parking spaces like Dominic's or Emilio's or Mario's. We ate at Mario's and we ate in the street. They make some structural.
Still, where do you park?
Well, there's a municipal lot,
okay.
kind of right in the center of Arthur Avenue, between Arthur Avenue and the next one over. I can't remember what it is. And it's it's not bad. It's like $4.50 for 3 hours.
Really?
I mean, it's
So Mario's. What did you eat? What is a fine young Italian?
Well, no, I had
order at Mario's?
the Bronzino there. It was
You went
excellent.
to Arthur Avenue and you had fish. Yes. Was it a whole fish or was it a
No,
fillet?
it was 3 fillets. It was delicious.
Yeah, you've got to have. If you're going to
I
get
know,
Bronzini
yeah.
or Bronzino, or
whatever it is.
you have to have the whole fish.
I know. Well, it was lunch. I didn't want to get too messy, But I we like going down there, and all the restaurants are excellent quality down there. But I should probably get something a little bit more Italian,
The gnocchi.
I got chicken. Gnocchi is delicious. down
And you
there.
can't. It's never any good anywhere.
I know. It's How
do you pronounce it?
Gnocchi.
Gnocchi.
Gnocchi. Yeah.
Got it. Oh God.
So and it's I don't know. It's maybe an hour and 45, maybe less from here. But yeah, it's a fun place to go and.
Easy to get to. Is it?
Pretty easy
I went
to
there
get to.
once.
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty
off the
easy.
Sprain Brook Parkway. You just got it. We throughway to over the Tappan Zee.
You know, the
whatever it's
people from the city in New Jersey are so reasonable how they drive.
Oh,
It's just once you get past the Governor Cuomo Bridge.
Oh, I know, the
Once you
Tappan
get
Zee.
past the Tappan Zee, it's crazy.
Yeah. But, 4 little old Italian guys, sipping on their espresso or cappuccino and talking about everything and watching everybody go by. It's hilarious.
Great.
It was a good time. It was a beautiful day. So
They were watching you, or were they watching your beautiful?
Yeah,
wife?
they were not watching me. That's for sure.
No cat calls, so that doesn't.
No cat calls.
The Knicks don't play till Sunday now? I thought they
Correct.
started
Next
Saturday.
Sunday. Now they moved
Sunday.
it to Sunday.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's a big wait.
That's going to be an
That's
interesting.
all right. That'll
game.
heal. I mean, it'll give Derek, what's his name?
Rose.
Rose, time to heal.
Time to heal up, and they'll be good. They'll be all right.
That's
They'll beat
wonderful.
Atlanta.
So their first game is Sunday,
so?
and then their second game is Wednesday?
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And once they get going, well, they give them a little rest, and then that's it.
And is it the best of 5 during the first round, or
Well,
do they
that's
bump that back up to 7?
I don't know that. I doubt that it's 7.
No, I think it's 5. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. We can find that out. We have the source. The sources.
You guys want to go to break?
James
Yeah, we can go to break. We can go to break
because your guests are in the lobby.
Had a 3-pointer to win.
So we're gonna go to break. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Thanks.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
100 years ago, there were 100,000 tigers in the wild. Today, there are as few as 3,200. The Earth's wild animals can't speak up when they need help, but we can. Be the voice for those who have no voice. Visit worldwildlife.org.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? By shifting to a system that gives more patients access to strong primary care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
Screening exams for breast, lung, or colorectal cancers are necessary to detect and treat disease at its earliest, most curable stage. But you may have some concerns and questions. Answer your questions and ease your fears by visiting radiologyinfo.org. In addition to information on screening and wellness, you'll find more than 200 descriptions of radiologic exams, procedures, and treatments to help you prepare. Get informed and be prepared. Visit radiologyinfo.org, produced by the Radiological Society of North America and the American College of Radiology.
As the world faces the challenges of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, Lions recognize that kindness matters now more than ever. And Lions and Leos are finding ways to continue to serve our communities, including ordering food delivery for healthcare workers, holding story time for children online, and providing surgical masks to medical professionals and first responders. Empowering us to do more, Lions Clubs International Foundation has provided nearly $2.5 million in grant funding for COVID-19 relief. And that support continues to grow. For more than 100 years, in times of need, Lions always find a way to help those around them. And after we emerge from this, we will be stronger than ever. Visit lionsclubs.org to learn more.
Hi, my name is Jackie Lovezzo. I'm from Lake Katrine, and I support the Kingston Community Radio because it is an invaluable resource to the community and its residents.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio has been brought to you by the First Savings Bank in Ulster County that still remains local to this day. Ulster Savings Bank, a community bank that's invested in local business, invested in community, invested in you. Ulster Savings Bank, your one-stop resource for everything local. Locations throughout the Hudson Valley and online at ulstersavings.com. Member FDIC.
Okay, it's good stuff. And
okay, folks, we're back. This is Thunder Thursday. I'll save the judge on that one. I won't.
Oh, please do it. Please do, because
I want Thunder Thursday.
I was just about to say Joe hasn't been here to hear, and I was just explaining to him how a professional and significant show this is.
Thanks.
And now
I'm glad I delivered the punchline for you.
You got it.
This is Tony Marmo.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're supposed to.
Donald Williams.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you
tend to
very
forget
much.
that.
And we're joined this half hour by Joe Vitti, and Joe is with the Marbletown First Aid Unit. And are you? What is your position there, Joe?
I'm a board member.
A board member, okay.
I'm an EMT and driver.
Okay, great. So that's
a couple of hats.
So just to give a little background about yourself, maybe are you a local? Are you from parts unknown or?
Secret. I moved to High Falls in 2003 with my wife and a couple of kids.
Nice.
From Boulder, Colorado.
Oh,
actually. So I'm a climber.
Yeah.
From Connecticut originally.
Oh, interesting.
And got introduced to the Shawangunk Ridge.
Oh, okay.
Coming out.
That's
to go
what hooked
climbing.
you, huh? Better than Colorado?
Yeah, definitely hooked. I wouldn't say that, but
No.
family are all back east.
Okay,
Right? So
great.
we moved back to be closer to our family.
Gotcha.
Not too close.
Right.
Everyone's in
Right,
Connecticut.
right. Need a little breathing room.
Yes. And so the climbing thing is a big part of my life too. It's what I do for a living. I'm a climbing guide.
Oh,
really?
I take people rock climbing, during the warm months, and then ice climbing during winter. So between the Catskills and the Adirondacks.
Colorado was a good place to start.
It was
That's
a good
pretty
place to start.
dangerous, Joe. I mean,
it's
it's
a risky activity for sure. And
how high?
we do a
Some of the
pretty good
cliffs
job
that you
of
climb?
managing risks, though. That's what the guiding thing is about, right?
got to be in pretty good shape. I notice how thin you are, so I'm definitely not a candidate, but you have to be very strong to do the stuff you folks do.
A higher level of fitness makes you better at it, I suppose. But
What a polite. Are you running for office?
He's very
Joe?
modest.
How-
We could come out and you guys could come out and climb this afternoon. We'll find something for you.
I still have difficulty raking my backyard.
Right. Two-step ladder for you, Judge.
I was thinking more escalator. That's it. I watch on TV frequently, ESPN, when they have something other than regular sports. They do the indoor climbing. I've forgotten the wall climbing.
Yeah.
My
Gym
God.
climbing has exploded in the U.S.
That's great.
It's become
That's great.
incredibly popular.
Let's talk about how you got to be an emergency medical technician. Is that what that EMT stands for?
Yes, sir.
So how'd that happen?
I was introduced to the squad when my daughter took a fall on the steps at her house.
Oh, wow.
And
climbing? Was she trying to climb?
Briefly,
climb
she
the
was
steps?
climbing up the steps, and she was just a little kid, right? And so she takes a little bit of a digger, and a friend of mine is at the house, visiting from Colorado, actually, and we're having a beer and just hanging out chatting, and he is an EMT. And so my daughter takes this little fall. We are clear that she's not really injured.
Right.
But meanwhile, my wife is in another room calling 911.
Okay.
So I actually called back to 911
Say,
and said, it's
"Nix,
okay.
we got it covered."
And they said, great, that's fine, but we're coming.
Anyway.
And it was Marbletown First Aid.
Oh, cool.
And it turned out to be the tech, the EMT, was a guy that I kind of knew through the climbing community.
Mhm.
And so he set the hook that day. Of course, my daughter was absolutely fine. But this Jim Munson, and sort of slowly but surely, Jim drew me into the building. And
Nice.
Came to visit and really was excited about the idea of getting trained as an EMT as well. With climbing, that's an important
Probably,
part of our
yeah.
guide training is to have first aid. And so it just took it to a little bit higher level. And that was 15 years ago. So
What are the levels if you're with the squad?
So we have drivers
Right.
who are first responders, certified first responders, but don't need a ton of medical training, right? So CPR and just a little bit of training. And then we have EMTB, which is emergency.
EMTB?
That's B is for basic.
Okay.
And then there are also EMTAs, which are advanced, which are the paramedics.
All right. So to become a paramedic, you have to be an EMT, but then there is additional training or education?
Yes, sir. So one way to think about it in terms of time commitment, like an EMT is about a 6-month program for a basic.
Okay.
And then the advanced, a paramedic, is about a 2-year program. And
That's
includes
extensive.
a lot of pharmacology, and that's really the separation between the levels. Paramedics are able to provide medications at the scene.
Okay.
And also are able to do some advanced airway management, like intubation on the scene.
Intubation meaning placing some type of a breathing device directly
Just
into.
completely taking control of the airway for a critical patient.
And that happens frequently, or occasionally anyway.
It does. I mean, certainly the medication, starting an IV, that's completely routine for a paramedic. Intubation was more popular than it has become, and there's just more studies that show that that advanced airway management doesn't necessarily provide as good of outcome for the patient long term. But that's kind of getting into the weeds a little bit with.
Let's go over some of the. You have some good news to share with us. I think a couple of awards, and they're trying to increase some of the communication between the unit and the public. So why don't you talk about that? So I want to talk about the awards that you've received.
Right. So this is
National EMT Week.
National
correct?
EMS
Yeah.
Week. That's correct. And so we are Ulster County's Agency of the Year, and
That's
have
tremendous.
also our chief or captain Karen Pardini, who's a longtime member, started in 1997.
She's been on the
with
show
us.
before.
She is the Administrator of the Year. So, and all of that is really due to this hybrid model that we've gone to, right? We were an all volunteer agency starting in 1961. And over the last year and a half, we have responded to this precipitous drop in volunteerism by starting to pay some people. And so that has allowed us to provide a level of service to the community which is far beyond what most rural ambulance squads are able to do that are all volunteer. And that's the reality of our world these days, right? Volunteerism is down.
Yeah.
And so we've worked hard we've been able to fund that process by spending money that we have been setting aside over the 60 years existence of the agency. This is from our ambulance fund. So we're funding it ourselves so far with no additional funding from the towns that we serve. But have come closer and closer to the town. So just to be clear, we serve 2,200 homes in Marbletown.
That's
we
a big
serve 100 homes in Rochester, and we serve about 400 homes in Rosendale. So it's a little.
That's a big area.
It's a little bit cockamamie as far as
How
it's all structured, but it has to do with how close we are. It's proximity,
time-wise,
and where the other neighboring agencies are.
How do the calls come to you? 911 does not go directly to you, correct? Does it go through?
That's correct. In the old days, they had a phone number that you would call, and hopefully someone would pick it up. It was at Harriet Weber's house in the beginning. Harriet Weber.
Really?
Weber
You know her
founded
at all,
the
Don?
agency.
Yeah, that sounds so.
She
I was
a
district
legend,
attorney
legend.
probably 15, 20 years ago, and chief assistant for 20 before that. That's why when you first came in, we were off air. I said, I've worked with the Marbletown squad on several serious cases, but that sounds
she
so
lived almost
familiar.
100. I just saw that, and John Mallon is with us too in the studio. By the way, John is helping Marbletown with their PR and exposure. So thank you and welcome, John. Harriet, because my affiliation with Kingston Hospital over years and the ambulances.
She sounds so familiar.
You can always remember her, even when she was like, I'll say 80. She was more active than most, 40-year-olds.
When did she pass?
It said
2001. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Well,
I must have worked with her.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was at
So
Kingston Hospital from 1980 until 03, so she was an amazing person, and it's great that they named the award after her.
How do you deal emotionally? Because I know how it impacted me dealing with the families of victims who lost loved ones, and frequently vehicular homicide, alcohol, or drug-related deaths. How do you handle that personally?
We have there's a formal process that we have within the agency for debriefing after difficult calls.
You see the word. You're the first at these scenes, and you see the worst of all possible circumstances. I can't imagine going through life on a regular basis, especially as a volunteer.
Wait a minute, you did it.
But yes, I did, and one of the ways that I tried to get through that was to yell at the other assistant DAs, especially when I was DA.
Right.
And then when I was judge, to yell at lawyers, it's so cleansing. It's such a wonderful feeling. But there were a lot of sleepless nights. And I tell people, no, you get used to it. You don't get used to it. But for the EMTs or the paramedics that are the first at the scene, that when somebody passes... God.
Good processing unit.
Well, I think people manage these things in all sorts of different ways. I mean, beyond the formal, right, policies and procedures
what you
that
do,
you have
right.
set up, people still have to process it in their own ways. And some people do that by
climbing a rock wall.
Or yelling at the kids, or
trust me,
that's not.
You know, we
climbing a rock wall pales in comparison to yelling at lawyers.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It all depends.
I think we'd all like an opportunity to do that sometime.
It's even better doing it than hearing about it. Trust me.
Probably better from the bench too. So yeah, I mean, I think that is it's a great question, and there's no easy answer to that. I think it varies, from individual to individual. Yeah.
But
What
they're
are
in
the-
there for a reason. Let me, I think all healthcare professionals have to process maybe differently than the average person in the street, because they see death and they see harm and they see people in their worst possible situation. But that goes with it goes with. I hate to say it goes with the job, but you need to be able to process that, or else you'll never last. You'll never stay in.
And what people have to understand, and do not hesitate to disagree. You do not.
At your own peril, by the way.
No.
Joe's a smart guy. No, I'm
if you
kidding.
put a jacket and tie on, then but
Not being a lawyer, I feel
not
sick.
being a lawyer, you are safe. Trust me. I'm one of the most sensitive, compassionate people that I know. You may not want to ask that of the attorneys that appeared in the ones that were prepared.
Yeah, all good.
All good. Come into my courtroom unprepared was not pretty. But having said that, you don't become hardened by everybody says you deal with this all the time and it becomes second nature. It's not. It's just you have to find ways to deal with it on your own. What are the formal? I'm sorry.
No. I just wanted to ask about your. They have a great award this year. You're the EMS Council's Agency of the Year, right?
That's correct. Yeah,
that's a big deal.
Well, it is a big deal, and we're really excited about it. Having gone through this incredible process over the last year to get this hybrid system set up, it's an immense amount of study before deciding to go from an all-volunteer squad to a paid or partial paid organization. There's all these questions about, what does that mean going forward? How do we reorganize our board? I mean, there's an incredible
a lot of
array
organizational
just deciding
logistics
to do
with
it.
that. Sure. Are the other? Can I just ask? Are the other agencies in Ulster County hybrids, or are they?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
They're varied,
Yes.
and we learned from some of the otother agencies.
Right.
New Paltz Rescue still has some volunteers,
Yeah,
but is
what about-
almost all paid now.
SOPIS?
SOPIS is still an all-volunteer agency. They just had an interesting Facebook post. They've been doing this great job profiling their team members.
Oh.
And they just made a post giving the numbers of calls that their main responders do. And there were two gentlemen at the top of the list who were like 450 calls a year.
Holy crow.
Right? And then a
What is the
precipitous
name-
drop off after
What is
that.
the name of their therapist? 450.
That's
So
really interesting. So it's different.
Other agencies that are paid are so Crohanson Accord First Aid is still an all volunteer agency. We have Olive has been a real clear example for us of this transition from all volunteer to paid. So the town there supports the agency completely, and they have fully abandoned the volunteer model. So we have tried to keep the volunteer platform. I mean, that's a real goal of ours. But, we're also dealing with the realities of volunteerism being sort of a thing in the past to some degree. I hate to say that. As someone who volunteers still, we also, by opening this door, this is a little bit of a Pandora's box in that our volunteers have then in turn wanted to be paid as well, right? So we still maintain a handful of volunteers, but we've seen this.
Isn't that an oxymoron? If you're a volunteer, do you get paid?
Well, you could see that
one or
people.
the other.
Yeah, I get it.
volunteering is great. I mean, you bring passion to whatever agency you're volunteering for. But there also has to be some structure and organization that sometimes it's so hard for volunteers to do. So the hybrid, philosophically, sounds perfect.
Standards have risen. I mean, standards have definitely risen over the course of this past year for our agency. I mean, the obvious point is that we're now responding at 100% or right there at about 100%. You know, over the course of the last 18 months, we have dropped like 3 calls. And what that means, it doesn't, so just to be clear, when we talk about response rates, a year and a half ago, our response rates had been dropping to about 60%, 70%. And that's not an uncommon number for volunteer agencies. It's low. What that means is that other agencies in mutual aid have to pick up the slack.
And by mutual aid, meaning more than one agency covers a specific geographic area?
Covers for others when they're unable to respond. This is super common with fire departments in particular.
Correct.
But with EMS as well. And so that would often fall on the backs of the commercial agency. And for most of our region, it's mobile life support systems. So that's, you know, what that means for the person calling 911 or their relative who's standing there with phone in hand is that it could be quite a long wait. And so for, the result of this transition is that in 3 minutes, we have an ambulance out the door 99.9% of the time over the
that's
18-month period, right? So that's a huge bump up in terms of the overall safety net for the community.
We have about, 8 or 9 minutes left. So I want to get you to talk about the invitation to meet with the public, the town board, 6:30 p.m. next Tuesday on May 25th at the Marbletown Center. Can you talk about that? What's behind that? You're having a communication event.
Right. So the town of Marbletown supports the squad with about $40,000 a year in funding, right? And that has been a historical number. There was a period where they had lowered the funding to $20,000 a year. Last year, they increased the funding again, which was a great win, and have consistently, as we've sought to educate the town board about what all this looks like, right? Because let's face it, most of us don't know anything about what's out there in terms of structure for emergency medical services. We just want to know that if we dial 911,
someone's going to show up.
Coming, right?
Yeah.
And so that goes for town boards as well. And so our board has, especially led by Councilmember Don LaFera, who has been the EMS liaison for Marbletown, and is involved with the High Falls Fire Department. Don has done a great job about coming up to speed, being willing to be educated, and then in turn help the rest of the board come up to speed. And so they have consistently moved towards us here over the course of this last year, and now have gone to the point where we have this meeting, a town hall meeting, in which it gives voters the opportunity to express their support,
get educated,
or express their concerns, to ask questions. So it's at 6:00 on Tuesday, on the 25th, at the community center in Marbletown. They have posted it on their Facebook page and on the town website as well, so people can find details there. And it'll give folks an opportunity, yes, to express their support, maybe tell their story, or ask their questions about the finances here. We're not confused. This requires taxpayers to ante up here to support the squad. What we're asking for is about $190,000 from Marbletown, and then we're looking for $25,000 from Rosendale and $5,000 from Rochester. So these are reasonable numbers. Each of the town supervisors have moved towards us on this. So we feel
That's
like we're really
making progress.
making a lot of headway here.
Because I know the last time you were all on, Karen was here, and I can't remember the board president's name at the time. There was some concern that the financial situation was going to impact the services and what was available. So
Well,
hopefully,
and certainly it will. If we were not to get the funding, right, the monies that we're spending from the ambulance fund will last, another year at most.
Yeah.
And then the agency, what's been around for 60 years, will be no longer. I mean, that's the move that people have asked, well, why did you start doing that before you got the funding?
Right.
And the reality is because we had maybe 5 people like a SOPAS with 2 folks doing, almost 1,000 calls between them.
It's crazy.
We had a couple of people who were just at their breaking point.
Yeah, understood.
And so it really left us with we felt like we had no choice at that time. And fortunately, the town boards have taken it seriously and have again been willing to be educated about the systems. There's a lot to know. It's complicated. And so we feel like we're very close together now on this. Supervisor Rich Parity and I have talked quite a bit about this as well.
Rich is
a good guy.
Great guy.
He's moved towards us, quite a lot.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. You need that.
How does the budget? How is it broken out for what you do? Are you aware of that?
Yeah. So the bulk of our funding is coming from billing and insurance, right? And so that, that's a great question because people are like, well, you billed my insurance, but the insurance does not fund all of our needs by any means.
Okay.
And so this gap. We're talking about a $240,000 gap that we're asking the towns to support, to cover. And
the 3 towns, not just one, correct? You're breaking it to...
That's correct.
Good. Okay.
Right. So, as an all-volunteer agency, we could survive on $40,000 a year and our billing to insurance, no problem. But now, at this point,
paid staff
are at about 80% with 20% volunteer,
right?
Maybe even 15%.
And the rigs and the equipment,
yes, the
and
equipment,
insurance, and
equipment itself.
Those are fixed expenses. Yeah,
they're big numbers. They're big.
There's been dialogue, and one of the concerns for Supervisor Parity is that other towns, nearby towns, are funding the service as well. Mm-hmm. And so, something that we've talked a lot about is this dynamic of, if we're not responding to these other towns, then we are giving up the call volume as well. So that's a drop in revenues. But
you're also asking for support, revenue support from the other towns.
We are, and they're moving towards us, but it's just this aspect as well, and it goes to the complexity of how EMS works, right? Is that on one hand we want these towns to pay their fair share, but on the other hand, we also don't want to give up call volume, right? Because those are revenues, our expenses are fixed. So if we give up volume, we're only giving up dollars towards, what the burden for taxpayers in Marbletown are. So it's not a win. So
if something happens to a loved one, falls on the stairs, somebody has a heart attack, God forbid, in the house. People are not thinking about, what am I paying in taxes? They're thinking, how do I get my loved one help and get them attended to
by the best, by people that are trained well and
quickly,
care about
not
it.
like tomorrow we'll be there. So this is really critical stuff. I mean, it's you don't think about it until it actually happens in your house. We wish you the best, and it's an absolutely necessary service that each community should embrace and say, if you want to keep your loved ones, your family safe, support your local ambulance corps. I mean, that's just the way it goes.
Couldn't agree more, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, I mean, please attend that meeting next Tuesday at 6 o'clock. That says 6:30, but I'm presume show up early and have a little cookie or something.
It's at 6.
It's at 6, okay. Tuesday, May 25th at Marbletown Community Center, and that's located in beautiful downtown Marbletown. No, where is it located?
It's in beautiful downtown Marbletown.
Is there an uptown?
Yeah, it's right off of 209. So
yeah, off of 209. Can't miss it.
Same place as the town
get
court.
You right to the town.
Is that the town court building?
I don't believe so. No, the community center is a separate building.
Yeah, but it's right off of 209, and good luck. Congratulations to Karen Pardini for winning the Harriet Weber Award. Prestigious to your agency for winning the Ulster County EMS Councils, I did go on and look, and it reminded me that I have not sent my check to the town of Esopus. I'd like to support them. So thank you for being here. I owe them some money, and I'll send it to them.
Yeah, it's a great agency, so.
Need to support them. So
Still holding on tight to the model, and so they need your support.
Yeah, thanks. Joe Vitti, thank you very much. John Mallon, thank you for bringing Joe in, and all the best to the Marbletown squad. And thank you for all you do, sincerely.
Thanks for having us
good
here.
luck rock climbing.
Really you did a great job. Fantastic.
Thanks, Joe.
Good
all right,
spokesperson.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the Drug Facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the Drug Facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/Drug Facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Introducing the YMCA. Sure, you know the Y for a swim or a game of hoops, but we're more than that. We're a cause. When you take a jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Practice yoga as a team practices her leadership skills. We give people of all ages, incomes, and backgrounds a chance to learn, grow, and thrive. So while you might think of the Y as the place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. That's the Y. We're so much more. Visit ymca.net/more.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're fighting against childhood cancer every day. At the heart of this battle are our donors.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here. And it doesn't matter your religion or what part of the world you're from, all that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Find out how you can help at stjude.org.
Hi, this is Tony Marmo from Norman Staffing, and we've been bringing together employers and job seekers since 1980. If you're an employer and have job vacancies, let Norman Staffing help fill them with permanent or temporary workers. We screen, interview, and recommend the best candidates for your company. We make the employment process easier and faster for you. Please call Norman Staffing for your employment needs at 338-9111, 338-9111, or normanstaffing.com.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
Rondout Savings Bank has a long history of serving local communities and maintaining a strong tradition of customer service excellence while providing each customer with the personal attention they deserve. Rondout Savings' approach to community banking puts you and the growth of your business in the front of everything they do. They're a different kind of bank and would like to tell you why, so please reach out to one of their expert business bankers for an appointment and let them show you what they can do for you. Rondout Savings Bank, always working for you and the community with branches in Kingston, West Hurley, and Hyde Park. Also online at rondoutbank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
All right, folks, we're back. This is Thunder Thursday, man. Here we go.
You know
this
something?
Is a lot of thunder.
Every time I come back from a trip from my medical professionals,
right,
and I feel a little bit down, suddenly I feel so much better when I hear you do that.
He'll do that to you.
He does.
All right, so this is Tony Marmo. And you are?
Oh, Donald Williams.
Yeah, right,
I will
right.
get the hang of this.
You
It's
will
only-
get it eventually.
It's only been 9 months, I think.
So you're doing great. You're doing amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You are. So we have a birthday today. Well, actually, we have a couple birthdays today. Yahoo! So, and we're going to ask folks to please send in, their birthday wishes to loved ones and family and friends and to KCR. And the best way to do that is, I think it's the KCR Gmail account, which Lawrence will tell me what it is. I think it's KCR921@gmail.com. KCR921.
Many people do not know. Go ahead. Let's go through this.
Yeah,
and
let's get this. Okay, you have one?
I do. This is not a birthday. This appears to be an anniversary.
Okay. Well,
Thursday, May
we're
20th.
widening the...
43 years.
Well, that's pretty darn good.
And I believe I know these people.
Great.
Karen and Robert Mitchell.
Right.
And the anniversary wishes go out with lots of love from Marianne and William Banks Jr.
Interesting. I thought there was a Mitchell at work.
43 years. There was. I don't think that's...
You can read that one too. And I'll do the wiener. The wiener.
You're really pushing my responsibilities here. And this one, May 20th, please wish happy birthday to Sue Herwick.
There you go.
Your friends at People's Place, we hope you enjoy your special day.
Okay, and the winner of the delicious cow pie from Boyce Dairy Milk House, 62 O'Neill Street in Kingston is... All right, that would be Sue Herwig. Woo! All right, so we
And I certainly hope, Sue, that you're listening so you could hear that.
hear the accolades. We got a cow pie. I can't remember. I think it was my sister's birthday we're celebrating, and we let it sit a little bit too long, so it turned into a little bit of cow soup.
It's called a milkshake.
It was still delicious, I have to say. We had almost, we had to try to refreeze it. We left it outside, forgot about it, and then we had a problem with it. But it was still delicious nonetheless, and the graham cracker crust is always my favorite. So, anyway.
Oh, that is good. The graham cracker crust.
Yeah, man.
Ice cream is not good for us anymore.
No, I know
but
that. I know.
it is healthy for everyone else except for the two of us. And,
Right.
And those cow pies are good.
They're delish, man. They're delish. So, yeah, I mean, all the best to the Marbletown First Aid Unit.
Very impressive. Very bright young man, and obviously he really cares.
Yeah. And next time I want to try to climb a rock wall, I'll give Joe a call.
The next time that you want to climb a rock wall, in all due respect to Joe, I will schedule your lobotomy.
Okay, fine. Well, you might want to schedule one for Saturday because I'm jumping out of a plane too.
Are you really?
I am, with a
you are.
tandem jump. Yeah.
Who are you jumping with? Anyone that?
A friend from Media, Pennsylvania, who's been on our show, a former Rotary International director by the name of Jeffrey Caderet, and this was on. He was trying to raise a lot of money for Rotary, and he announced that he was going to do this last year and couldn't do it. They were going to do a big fanfare all about it, and didn't happen because of the plague. And so he wanted to just keep his commitment and didn't want to jump alone. I said, I'll jump with you, since I jumped back in 2019.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, jump for autism, actually. I kind of our guest at 8:30. So I kind of know what I'm getting into this time, and it'll be easier, better. I think I'll not that I enjoyed it. As soon as I got out of the plane, I think the biggest mental block is when you're at the edge of the plane, right when there's no.
See, I think
the first step's a doozy.
I think it would be the sudden stop at the end.
No. That's easy. It's a tandem jump, and you lift your legs and you're sliding your.
The person that you are jumping with, I take it, has vast experience. In
Absolutely, yeah. Been this is Skydive the Ranch, down in Gardner. So
this is your second jump.
Second jump, yeah. So it was kind of. I'll tell you what, it was a beautiful day. And we could see Manhattan You could see
Really?
Manhattan because you
That's
jump
upsetting.
at 13,000
How long are
feet.
you actually?
You know,
not very
you're
long.
no, it's the
That's
whole thing
sad.
takes like 6 or 7 minutes. I mean, it's not
6 or 7 minutes
That's
is a
it.
significant
Yeah,
period of
I
time.
know,
Tom.
I know.
Oh, wait a second.
No,
You're in the
because- no,
air?
You're in the air.
plane.
You're in a
for
plane. No, you're in a plane.
How long are you in the air?
After you jump?
Yeah.
I think it's about. I mean, you jump at 13,000 feet. The rate of descent
That would
is
be
pretty-
higher than the peak of my roof, I take it. So, yes.
Yeah,
Haven't been up there.
I think I want to say maybe it was less than that. Maybe 5
6 or
minutes.
7. Wow,
Well,
but
because
that's
you don't
fantastic.
come straight down. Obviously, the parachute stops you, but you do these sweeping turns. and,
Okay.
You know, so you're hanging out. You're
So you're
looking at the
opening the
views.
chute. You're not.
So you jump.
free. What
No,
do they
no,
call
you
it?
are no. You free fall for. I think he pulls the chute at. I want to say 5,000 feet. I
So
wanna
that's
say it's either
roughly
5 or
8,000 feet of free fall.
A free fall, and then
That's
you
gotta be
jump
pretty
back
quick,
up.
though.
Yeah, it is pretty quick. I forget the rate of descent. It's very fast. It's like so many feet per second. It's really fast. But I have to say, it doesn't feel like that. Because the air kind of keeps you up, and it feels like it's keeping you up, even though you're dropping at there's nothing to relate it to. You know, that if there was a bird flying by,
How about running
there's no
with
relativity.
fastest speed into a brick wall?
Maybe
That
something
sounds
like
like-
that. There's no relativity, so you really don't know. You don't get this feeling that you're dropping quickly.
It's got to be exhilarating.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
gotta be.
It is.
I've always wanted. I will never do it.
Yeah,
But I've
yeah.
always wanted to hang glide.
Yeah, hang glide.
Always
yeah,
wanted to. But
yeah.
that's probably one of the most dangerous.
Yeah, I think so.
of all of those sports.
What's that when you're on skis and they take you?
No,
off?
you just
off a mountain.
with a big
you just
kite
jump
off a mountain. They do it up around
Right.
Minnewaska, Mohonk.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah,
regularly.
yeah. Right.
But that.
Yeah, and that one I think you're by yourself, right?
Well, you can do it with two people. I've
Yeah.
seen on TV
Yeah,
anyway,
tandems.
but typically you're by yourself.
Yeah,
That.
the tandem jumps are.
Or-
I mean, I would never. I don't like it enough to start. Taking I'll say lessons and doing
Yeah.
a solo jump.
Well,
I don't.
any-
That's not.
Any of those activities, the law of averages.
Yeah, it's against you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And
So this
and
should be
when
my
you-
last one at 66 and a half. Is that?
Well,
what
I would say the third should be the limit.
Okay, third.
but-
I don't know if I got one more in me. By the way, the first time I jumped, World War II veteran, 90 years old, jumped in our group.
Was he was in World War II? Did he jump? Was he
I
a
believe
part of
so.
the airborne?
I believe so. So that was
How old was
obviously
he?
90.
90, and
90.
he's still. God bless him.
Yeah, I mean
Wow.
he was in pretty good shape, tall guy, and yeah, I mean it's it's you just need to have faith in the person that's your tandem partner.
So then you're not going to offer that the two of us jump.
Well, maybe off this table.
You'd offer to pack my chute if I went solo.
Yeah, that's the big deal.
That's
but it's,
packing the
it's kind
chute
of like
to
watching how they make sausage. You just don't want to. You don't want to.
You actually watch them pack.
I did not. I did not. I didn't think I needed to see that.
I always thought I was a gutsy kid with the sports I played, but there's certain things such as rock climbing.
Yeah, that
high.
seems. Yeah, that seems
and,
pretty dangerous.
Jumping
too.
out of a
airplane,
airplane.
perfectly good airplane. Yeah.
Silk on your back,
Well, hey, you might be doing this show solo next time. Who knows?
I've done that a couple times.
You
I have to
have,
tell
you
you,
have.
it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
When you've never, being a guest is very easy.
Yeah,
Being
right,
a host-
right. Trying to keep the
host
ball
is
rolling,
tough.
absolutely. So it's, but it's like you said in the courtroom, preparation.
Yes, and which reminds me, you didn't send me an email. It reminds me of two things.
I did.
Did you send me?
I believe I did.
I know you spoke to me on phone.
No, it was yesterday. It was late.
Really?
I've had a
Okay.
Yeah, I had a late start at it this week. But you have something that you want to talk about. Speaking about preparation.
Speaking about preparation and jumping out of
Right,
an airplane.
right.
Let's talk about marijuana.
Let's talk about marijuana.
It's interesting. Was it the last time that we were together here? Joe Sinagra, Chief Sinagra from
Right.
Sorgetes, brought an issue up about marijuana, the recent legislation legalizing marijuana, which to begin with is a misnomer, because it is to possess a amount of marijuana for personal consumption has never been criminal. It's never been criminal. It's a violation, same as a traffic ticket.
Interesting.
In fact, you can be penalized for some traffic tickets more harshly than the old
possession,
a roach, whatever you call it. I don't do marijuana,
you don't.
but whatever the marijuana is, if it's a small amount, more than one roach, it's in the past. It was always a violation. You could fine the person, I think, $50 the first time, $100 the second time, and then you could never get fined more than $100 after that. Most of those cases, you didn't even get a fine. They were adjourned to contemplation of dismissal. Small amounts. Personal consumption. Never criminal. But in order to pass this legislation, just like defunding the police, you have to villainize the police. You have to villainize those individuals
involved.
It's all part of marketing.
Yeah.
So I did, and I know as a former prosecutor, as a judge, I would see vehicular homicides typically related to the consumption of alcohol to a level you were intoxicated, but also the impact of drugs or alcohol. One of those frequently that I would see would be impairment from marijuana. And I would have some of the best forensic pathologists testify at these trials to demonstrate how marijuana, when ingested within a certain period of time of the collision, would dramatically impair the person's ability to operate the vehicle, to react, judgment, reaction time, all of it. But when all of this came out, I know that it has been legalized in marijuana. As a former prosecutor and a judge, I really had problems with the legalization. Principally not because of the evil nature of marijuana, but the impact it will have on kids and the impact it will have on people that drive vehicles. And so I pulled out from that time some research, and it's somewhat interesting. I'll just kind of highlight it and stop me at any time.
No, that's fine.
New report from the Journal of Studies on Alcohol and Drugs. And these are not
fly-by-night
conservative think tanks.
Yeah, right.
Or fly-by-night organizations.
Yeah.
Number one, they found between 2010, 2011, 2018, 2019, significant increases in 7th, 9th, and 11th grade students of marijuana usage after the legalization. Further, Nevada, Oregon saw similar trends. Once legalized, youth marijuana usage significantly increased. In Colorado, the annual rate of marijuana-related emergency department visits increased by 62% from the time of legalization. Colorado, toxicology reports of adolescent suicide victims showed increased marijuana usage, and marijuana has been linked to schizophrenia, depression, and anxiety. Colorado, after legalization, marijuana-impaired driving deaths went up 150%. Under the JAMA psychiatric study in 2019, adolescent cannabis consumption was associated with increased risk of developing depression, suicidal behavior later in life, even in the absence of some other premorbid condition. By the way, this is the Legislative Gazette. What I didn't know, what in God's name is the Legislative Gazette? When I first read this, I said, oh my God, it's another right-wing Sean Hannity or something. Well, here's what the Legislative Gazette is a nonprofit, nonpartisan news organization with a mission of keeping New Yorkers informed about the politics, policy, and people of state of New York government. Oh, sure, it's a right-wing.
Right.
The newspaper is published as an educational project under the auspices of the Digital Media and Journalism Department at the State University of New York College of New Paltz.
It's our backyard.
So, it's not just our backyard. It's not exactly, it doesn't, New Paltz College is not reputed of necessarily being a right-wing organization.
No, not at all.
Further studies go to say that the perception now after legalization that teens have about the marijuana, it's not perceived to be bad anymore, which will increase youth. marijuana-related fatalities have increased significantly. That's from the Traffic Safety Council. Again, these are legitimate places. As alcohol, since the legalization of marijuana, as alcohol-related impaired drivers have decreased.
Interesting.
The same survey compared the percentage of drivers who had drugs in their system. Numbers show a significant increase in individuals driving with impairing drugs. While the presence of alcohol declined from that period of time, from 12% to 8%, the presence of marijuana rose from 8% to 12%. Perceptions of it here. The New York Times went through the dangers of marijuana use. Marijuana is dangerous, and there is a link between its use and psychosis. This is the New York Times. Anyway, it goes on and on that the dangers of this. And I do understand. I believe, and always have, that if marijuana is medically necessary to treat...
And it's been that.
And it has been.
Right. They've
and
used
most
it
certainly prescribe it, control it.
Right.
But to legalize it because it's a popular thing to do or to gain tax revenue,
Yeah.
and even the tax revenue idea, I understand in New York State, as proposed by our legislators, Governor Cuomo, they're going to tax marijuana 20%, and that will allow us now to regulate the dangerous marijuana. Come on, folks.
Yeah,
the people that are going to buy marijuana, if you have to pay a 20% surcharge,
you're not
they're
buying
going
it.
to find sources that are not controlled and
Right,
regulated.
right.
So there are real problems with this.
Yes.
And unfortunately, like much legislation, it became politically expedient. Activists, one side or the other, made it very popular, just like bail reform.
Yeah, same thing. Yep.
So
I know Chief Sinagra and the other folks on our Supervisor Wednesday show, our state police, our sheriff Juan Figueroa, Chief Tinty, Berardi, Sinagra, all have basically said this is going to be difficult to enforce on the if you pull somebody over. There's no roadside test at this point.
Unlike alcohol, that there are breathalyzer tests and blood tests, which gives you the exact level of the alcohol within the period of time that it would impact your driving.
Right.
Those are simple tests, and the breathalyzers are inexpensive. There is no simple test
for marijuana.
And
so could they do a roadside test, of what they call a field sobriety test for if someone is negative for alcohol?
Yes, one of the pieces would be if you eliminate alcohol, but there are still outward manifestations, symptomology that the person's got a problem.
Right.
Then you can then infer that there is some drug involved.
Yeah.
You would never make it to trial.
Yeah.
Unless you can establish something more empirical about what the drug is, when was it ingested. So what has to be done, what has been done in the past, there are drug recognition experts that basically have some training in identifying the outward symptomology of either marijuana, cocaine.
Right.
It's not that great.
Right. Do you think they could develop a test, a rapid test of some kind?
You can take either by urinalysis or by blood tests. But getting blood, you're not going to do roadside blood tests.
That's not going to happen.
And then on top of that, assuming if there's a collision and serious injury or death results, then you can force somebody to give blood. Otherwise, you cannot. You can get a search warrant, actually, for the blood. It's called a blood order.
Wow.
That takes a lot of work. More importantly, once the blood comes in, it's got to go to a lab. It's expensive to have the lab test done.
Yeah.
More importantly, just the result from the lab is not admissible at trial. You have to call a forensic expert. That's not cheap.
Yeah.
So to prosecute no vehicular homicide, vehicular injury, to prosecute a
simple
run-of-the-mill
Someone's crossing over the yellow lines.
Is impossible. But to me, more importantly, it's simple common sense and logic, not just the costs of prosecution or the difficulty in enforcing and prosecuting. For me, the problem is you're adding another drug, legalizing it, which is going to increase its use, as was found in many of these studies, if not all of them. You increase the use of a drug, you're going to increase the chances of people driving while impaired. And all I will tell those people that are so incensed about legalizing this, come and meet with the victims or the family of a victim that has lost a loved one because of something that makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah. Political, just from.
I agree. Yeah. And now again, there's an exception to that when it's medically necessary, but just for recreational use.
Yeah. So the law is in effect now, correct?
It is.
And so I'm wondering if there's any evidence or anecdotal information right now that they're having difficulties and problems with enforcement issues.
I think there would have to be a period of time to have any legitimate study.
Right, 3-6 months.
But there are other states that one.
Oh, exactly. They've been around.
California, Oregon, Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado.
And I read from just some of the studies. It's vast. It's just. So, and the answer is, once it becomes legalized, once we become entitled or used to something, try to take it away.
Hard, difficult, impossible.
Prohibition, that was a huge success.
Yeah.
So the key is to try to manage it instead of increasing its use.
Yeah.
And this is dangerous.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. Let's just touch on, I don't know, we got a few more minutes, the whole issue, your other favorite topic of bail reform. Do you see that pendulum swinging the other way at some point?
Well, it already swung the other way to begin with. It hasn't swung back enough.
Well, yeah, right.
And you knew this was going to happen when you quickly draft legislation, even the most well-intentioned people.
Right.
Most of them are not so well-intentioned. They're advancing their own political agenda.
Right.
But even the well-intentioned ones, and there are many, drafting legislation like this that is so significant quickly leaves dramatic loopholes. And there were huge loopholes.
And without input or feedback from the people that are in the field.
I was still amazed that no one, when I was on the bench, or when I was DA, no one.
What do you think of this idea?
And only 40 years of experience in it would really not say very much, and you may not have to agree with it, but get that input. I know the DA's Association was very active in opposing this, but it was politically popular, politically expedient. The people that do this are great at grabbing terms that are popular and repeating those terms. It becomes a mantra, and then it's hard to defeat it. We already have 2 cases that were an attempted murderer, charged with attempted murder, presumed to be innocent, and a murderer were released for technical reasons in our county. And I'm sorry, I don't care what the Freeman says, they were released for technical reasons. And those people are out on the street.
Yeah, and we just pray and hope that they don't commit another crime because,
Well, unfortunately, it takes that type of horrible tragedy to cause the pendulum to
go the other way,
the opposite direction. And I can say, sadly, it will happen.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's happened already, but it will happen.
Yeah. All right, so we're coming down to the next half-hour segment.
Who do we have next?
In the studio is David Jurin from Center for Spectrum Services, which is the
great
school for autism and other related behavioral issues out in Kukok Lane, out by the airport.
That was called something
Yes.
Children's? Not Children's Annex.
Annex, yeah, Children's Annex.
Children's Annex.
Yep.
What a-
Used to be by
what a great
Benedictine
place.
Hospital, but now they're out there. Lawrence, let's go to break. We'll come back with David.
Okay, great.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
There was this one time I went snorkeling in the Caribbean when I was a kid. It really just blew my mind. We saw the most beautiful corals. I remember thinking they were waving at us as they moved with the ocean. And then there were all these amazing fish. I'll never forget it. It completely changed the way I look at the ocean.
Most of us have a memory of being in nature we'll never forget. Let's protect the world's natural places so more memories can be made for generations to come. Visit worldwildlife.org.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
Someone in your town, at your school, or where you work is suffering from Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. They're dealing with excruciating pain and days when they can't even get out of bed. Chances are someone you know has Crohn's or colitis. Someone like me. I'm Amy Brenneman, and I'm asking you to support the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America to help millions of us cope and to find cures. Visit ccfa.org today to learn more. Help someone you know get back to their lives at ccfa.org.
Hi, this is Jim Quigley, supervisor of the town of Ulster, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Cut up the super sod, the cheese. Ooh, sorry.
Go ahead. Why don't you do your introduction, Tony?
Well, it was Thunder Thursday, but now I'm talking off the air. So this is we're here at Kingston Community Radio, Thunder Thursday. This is Tony Marmo.
And I'm Donald Williams. Thank you for reminding me to introduce myself.
Wow. Yeah. And we're joined this half hour by David Jurin, and we got it right.
We knew exactly how to
say
pronounce
the name.
it. Yeah.
I got it. From the Center for Spectrum Services. Welcome, David. How are you?
Thank you. It's great to be here as always in your studio, and we're very excited. It's been, I think, over a year.
Yes, it has. First time here for you, or have you been?
For us, no. This is the first time in the new studio.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
It's amazing. Yeah. Stepping up.
Yeah, the old place was a little dark and dank, and we're. This is like
Notice
the real deal.
We actually have soundproofing too.
Yeah,
this does really look professional.
It does. It is. So tell us how things are going at the Center for Spectrum Services, and your position, I know, is the you're Director of Development and Community Relations.
Community relations, public relations. That's what I do.
Right.
And a lot of people are not sure what development means.
Right.
Nonprofit work,
Gotcha.
and it doesn't mean child development. It means fundraising, and fundraising and event planning. But public outreach is what I do also in terms of reaching out to the community for helping to fund us and to get more information about the amazing work we do with Hudson Valley children with autism.
And it is amazing.
We have someone from Center for Spectrum on.
Oh, okay.
Just calling in.
Great. Well, then what I'm going to do is preface this by saying that the year's been interesting. We've just started. This is our first week back with full staff and full students
congratulations.
in a year. Now, one issue that we do have is that we have a bit of a staffing shortage, which is interesting. And one of the things, Tony, having been to the school,
Right.
you know the size of our parking lot. People
Yeah.
come to the school and say, why are there so many staff for a school? Well, because with kids with autism, you need a lot of one-on-one. So, but we are a bit short on staff, and we have on with us our new Director of Human Resources, Lisa Galino. And Lisa, are you there?
Good morning, Lisa.
I am. Good morning.
Okay, great. So, Lisa, why don't you tell us about our staffing situation at Spectrum Services, what we need, what we're looking for, and so what's going on?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on this morning. Essentially, as you've heard across the country, there are real shortages for positions that are paying under $17 an hour. So that really impacts those who work with people with developmental disabilities or work in positions where, they're often frontline workers. So for us, we've had a challenging time as we've reloaded up staff after, during COVID. We were lucky. We were able to retain all of our staff except for those who were part-time lunch aides that were folks that had an employment letter.
That's amazing. That is
so
simply
now
amazing.
we're trying to build back those folks who are a little more flexible. The lunch aid person or the sub, what they do is they come in each day and they're placed in a classroom and they work with a wonderful team. Each classroom, as David was saying, has 4 to 5 folks working in it. So one has their master's in special education, others have their bachelor's, others have some college, others have other professional training. And so we're looking for people right now.
That's fantastic. What? How many people are you looking for, and what categories? You mentioned them briefly.
Yeah, in our one thing is we are looking for people who could be teacher aides or lunch aides, and those folks work about a 5 to 7 hour day, and they work in a classroom. They can come to us with some college, or they can come without college if they have other professional experience, because we provide a real excellent training. We're starting at $13 an hour if you have no experience, but we do a salary scale and we assess each person based on their professional and educational background. So right now we are looking to probably bring in 5 to 10 more people to have in our consistent pool of subs. So those subs come in every day and they fill in where there's an absentee or where there's an additional need because of a child who's maybe having more difficult behaviors. This transition back for all of us is hard. Imagine for the children on the autism spectrum, it's been incredibly difficult.
Lisa, I know that one of the things I want to tell our hosts is that, like any school, Spectrum Services has nurses staffing. We have to have, by law, we have to have a nurse on staff. And we do have our nurse in our Kingston school, Dan Uttendorfer, who is amazing. And he actually heads our COVID response team and has done since the crisis began a year ago. And but we are looking for a nurse for our Eleven school. Now, I'll preface to say my partner is a nurse and a nurse manager. There is such a shortage of nurses nationwide. He's a nurse manager, and he's having to push a medicine cart, something that usually an LPN will do, and he's having to do that because of a shortage of nurses at the institution that he manages. So we are in a similar situation. And Lisa, I'll let you pick it up there.
Yeah, so we're looking for RNs. Basically, we're looking for RN backup coverage so that Dan can be allowed to, after many years here, take vacation time. It used to be easy to find RN coverage because, as the listeners may know, New York State pushed very hard for the nursing professionalism to move towards a BSN from an RN. So those who have an RN right now are in this very challenging but fiscally positive situation because they can go into the city and command $65 an hour with an RN, whereas up here that would normally be $25 to $35 depending on their experience and their area of practice. So we're looking for people to come to Ellenville to be backups to our nurse that we have an LPN there, but we can't go with someone less than an LPN. We'd love to have an RN there as well as backup, and also for Kingston for vacation. So we're not looking for a full-time person, but for people that used to be so easy to find per diem folks. And we're working with a staffing agency, and they're being told the same thing. It's really hard to find people to do these. And, people need a break right now, especially with COVID. So we're looking for that RN coverage too, and cover for when someone may be sick or someone who wants to utilize their vacation time. And it has been quite a bear. And I ran a huge college program at Mount St. Mary College, and I ran the adult baccalaureate and the master's nursing program as part of and I reached out to my folks there, and because they have an RN to BS, and they just said, every RN we have that's trying to do our BS right now, we're trying to keep them in our program because they're all just going into the city to make that money right now because they know it's fleeting. It won't, in 6 months from now, the need isn't going to be as high, and they're going to command again the BSN. So it's such a precarious time.
Lisa, was this issue the same prior to the pandemic, or do you think the pandemic is what caused this staffing issue?
No, it's the pandemic. Prior to the pandemic, RNs were starting to have a hard time finding positions because if they're in a hospital setting, for example, because the Master 10, I think is the terminology, I can't quite recall it all now, but that's the doctrine that essentially says for hospitals to mean a certain level of certification, they have to have a high percentage of their nurses be BSN nurses. So on top of the RN to BSN, so those folks, the RNs were starting to have a hard time to find positions, and now all of a sudden, like this is of course, in the most, such a dangerous time during COVID, such a stressful time, but a lot of people are thinking, okay, I do this for 6 months, a year, however long I can ride it out. So I think it's a completely COVID-driven situation. So it's one of those things where a lot of people are going, I want to go to school for nursing, but then what happens with education? Everyone goes back to school for something, and then there's too many people. With nursing, I think that it wouldn't be in this area. In a year, we would be doing much better. But nationally, there is definitely a nursing shortage. But in our region, because just within 100 miles of where we are, there are over 12 nursing programs. So they're just, and then the thing is, once people start getting out, do they get jobs right away? Do they command the salary during this time that they think that, because what happens is people now think, hey, I can command $65 an hour with my RN, but it's just during the monies that organizations have received because of COVID and the hazard pay has been essential for them, So I think it's going to shift. But we really are, we're so appreciative of everyone's work that they're doing. We understand why, of course, if you could command double your normal hourly rate, why wouldn't you do that? But it is during, a very scary time.
Doubling your hourly rate would be working out of the city, correct?
Yeah.
But I think the living expenses in the city are a little bit higher than this area. So
what a lot of the folks are doing is they're renting in the southern parts of Orange County and Dutchess, like an apartment with 1 or 2 bedrooms, sleeping in shifts and going into the city for 3 or 4 days, coming back out.
So we are again looking for class aides, classroom assistants. We're looking for the nurse. So
the real big ongoing push for us is always these classroom aides and the lunch aides, because they really help support the teaching staff with the children, and that's an ongoing need. And the challenge there we have, of course, is that folks are, if you want to work in the human services field, this is exceptional. If you want to work in education, it's exceptional experience. But if you are fiscally driven, obviously the corporate jobs pay more, even for folks who don't have a lot of skill set. So for us, we want to attract people who think they want to work with children, they want to be either a social worker, a counselor, a teacher, so that or a speech pathologist, an OT. We also are looking, another big one is that we're looking for a physical therapist. So we do have that need as well, for one physical therapist for our department.
Well, the work is difficult, emotionally draining. Its pay may not be as great as corporations, but the rewards of what you folks do.
What we do is amazing, and
unbelievable.
One of the things that I enjoy about what I do in terms of representing the school and doing the public relations work is that I actually do go to the classrooms. I actually spend time in them, and I know so many of the children's names and our students' names because each of them has a story, and each of them is different. different. You know, they say that if you meet somebody with autism, you've met one person with autism.
Right, exactly.
Everybody is different, and they are, and that's why it's called a spectrum disorder, because no two students are alike, and each of them are amazing, and I've connected with them, their families. And their families are just brilliantly beautiful. I mean, they're just the support that they get. And it's a triangulation between the student, our classrooms, and the parents and the families. And this is where we gain such success with our students. We've been doing it for 45 years. This is our 45th anniversary.
It used to be the Children's Annex?
You are right, yes. It used to be the Children's Annex. The name changed about a decade ago.
Okay.
And so, but Spectrum Service is more, because we weren't an annex. We weren't associated or affixed to anything. And so the name changed.
Good point.
So, but the past year has been one of great change for us and great flexibility shown by our leadership team. We formed immediately a COVID response team that worked. When we were first closed, that first day, I remember we were sitting there listening to the county executive say that all the schools were going to close for the next 2 weeks. And I was sitting there with some of our key staff listening to this and watching our staff put the students on the buses. It happened on a Friday.
Right.
And I was watching these, and I got a little misty-eyed thinking, when are these teachers going to see these students again?
Yeah.
And it wasn't for 9 months.
Yeah.
And at least in person, because we quickly, in the 2 weeks preceding that, like all the other school districts, we moved really quickly into setting up a platform for online learning.
Yeah.
Not the best, but we were able to do it.
Not the best for regular or
for kids who are neurotypical is the term we use.
That's a good term.
Oh, it took me a while to learn it too. Like neurotypical, and so our students are not neurotypical, but yes, you're absolutely right in terms that our students really regressed, and we heard that. We knew that this was going to happen, but how can you prevent it? Online learning is not so good for students who are neurotypical, but our students with autism, we saw regression. We heard it from the families, and it happened. But once we moved back in September, going into October, we started having the hybrid where half of our students were in Monday and Tuesday.
Yes.
Wednesday was a online day only, and then Thursday and Friday was the other half group. Once we started getting them back in, we were able to at least put a stopgap into the regression. But now that we're back in, starting this week, all students, all staff, full-time, and we're so proud of this.
That's great.
We're so proud of being able to do this. It's just now we can once again excel and turn things around and move things up. But it's been a very eventful year.
So let's get back to the staffing situation for a minute.
You have some experience with
I have
that,
a
do you
little bit
not?
of experience there. When the federal government ended the first unemployment offering back in July 31st, the $600 a week, we found at Norman Staffing a tremendous influx of people into the workforce. Amazingly, right?
What a shock.
What a shock. And then, much to our chagrin, when they reinstituted the $300, it really affected, as Lisa was saying, those hourly rates of $13, $14, $15, because you can be laid off for one day and get $300, or the whole week and get $300, and it's a deterrent to getting people back to work.
You know what's interesting, as I learned on NPR, another radio station, is that actually the people who are not returning to work are not doing it because of the $300. It's because of how much things have shifted, where if they've moved because they're homeschooling their children essentially, online, they can't afford to work and take care of and pay for child care.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the largest reasons. It's not necessarily
the unemployment. Yeah, it's probably.
Respectfully, Lisa, I'm not sure that I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I'm sure that is one of the reasons.
30% of women have not returned to the job market who were professional women, which means associate's degree or higher, due to the choice to be home with their children and looking financially at where, how much they're going to have to pay. Because imagine you're paying a tutor, not just a babysitter, to help you with this online learning for so many folks is so challenging. And so a lot of families have kind of readjusted to say our children have gotten, not just academically behind, but emotionally and socially. So they've made those decisions. And those folks who are, if you think about, how would you, if you make $13 to $16 an hour, pay for a $25 an hour tutor?
Right. Doesn't work.
Right. So, and the question is the people that
I
shut
think
the
we should
schools
incentivize
down.
Getting jobs now. That should be they should flip it.
Right. And the question is the people that shut the schools down.
Right.
Did they take any of that into consideration? No. Well, I think they were looking at it from a health and safety standpoint, which at the beginning, I think a lot of folks took themselves out of the job market too. They didn't care about unemployment. They just, said, I'm not going to be exposed.
Yeah.
So the federal unemployment stops September 6th. Schools are going to be probably reopening. So my unfortunate prediction is the next couple of months in the summer are going to not be easy for the employment market. It's just, there's 5,300 people unemployed in Ulster County. And believe me, there's more than 5,300 jobs.
I want to underscore what Lisa said earlier, in that due to PPP, we were able to keep almost all of our staff employed.
Right.
And that was a big feat, and it took a lot of work on our controller, on our director, Susan Buckler's, lots of work involved. I'm sure you know
great.
how much work.
Yeah, no, she's amazing.
But we were able to keep basically all of our staff.
And one of the real interesting things is that, like you were speaking of, that number, Tony, is just so astonishing. We have a direct connection with the head of the county level, Thomasine Oliphant. She's the director for the Department of Labor here. And we went in and we took every one of our job descriptions, we uploaded it to them, and those folks are helping us as they reach back out to people whose unemployment is about to run out. And they are really sharing that a lot of people would like to come back to work, but they don't know that they could afford the summer camp. They don't know that they can afford the educational. So I'm hopeful that, over the summer with people behaving safely, that we will have a shift in the fall, like you're saying that, because the summer is going to be really hard on folks.
Right.
And especially our organization, because you have to remember that unlike neurotypical school districts where they all have summer break, our students on the spectrum, we can't let them backslide. So our school program is as full as it is.
12 months.
It's
a 12-month program?
Well, I wouldn't say 12 months because there is about 3 weeks in the summer in between the two sessions, but we can't let them regress. And so our school is open almost year round.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, no, it's not an easy time, and I have to tell you, we see this in almost every single job sector. It doesn't matter. It's direct care, it's executive secretaries, it's financial, it's healthcare, it's construction, it's labor, it's across the board. I know we're here with the great people from Center for Spectrum Services, but it's a big problem.
Lisa, what people that may be interested in those positions you're referring to, what is the best access they have to the qualifications they have to have, the training, the experience, the background?
And some contact information.
They go to our website, which is www.centerforspectrumservices.org. I know it's a mouthful. Centerforspectrumservices.org. They can go online and do the application, which then that application allows us to do a background check, and then if they fill it out and it looks like they might be a good candidate, we check references, then we do 3 background checks because they're working with children. We do DOJ, OCFS, and IntelliCorp, and we interview them, and hopefully we are starting to see a few of all of the fruits of our incredible outreach labor. Like yesterday, I had a college student who I spoke with 2 months ago fill out the application. She's like, I was just so busy, and I wasn't sure if I could be in a school or not. I was too afraid because of COVID. So we are seeing a little bit more energy coming from those returning for summer, but we really want people, Tony, that live around here for a year that want to work, because think about the education and training. Every time we get a whole group of wonderful new young people, we train them, then they go back off to school in September. So those who go to school locally at Ulster Community College or BARD, or who live locally year-round, we love to have them. And they can also call me. Anyone can give me a phone call at 845-336-2616. That's 845-336-2616, extension 154. And I can, tell them a little bit about us And, there's some videos on our website. We have a lot of information. So there's a variety of ways. They can't just come here anymore and get an application because of COVID. I think maybe, though, now that I said that, Tony, I'm going to put some outside on a table with a rock on them.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
But
any way to get it, Lisa.
One thing true is that, as I said, with so many cars in the parking lot, we actually employ 150.
Yeah, that's a lot.
People in our area. It is a lot for what would normally be considered maybe a smaller school, but
right.
And normally we would have 200. That's the thing.
Normally so.
Yeah.
And our staff safety and our student safety has always been primary, number one, even before COVID, but COVID with more. So what's really interesting and something to underscore is how careful we've been in reopening, when we do it, how we do it. In terms of PPE, protecting our staff and students has been the key. So what's interesting here, and a point I'd like to underscore, is that since we reopened for all of our staff in September, the students came back in October, since we've been open since September with all of our staff, we have not had one single transition of COVID between a staff member or a student. No, there's not been one transfer of the virus.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
At all.
So we're kind of coming down in time here. So
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, final thoughts, Lisa.
Thank you so much for
you want to give
helping Center for Spectrum Services get more exposure in the Hudson Valley.
Yeah, well, we appreciate all you do. It's a great and necessary school. And I know your catchment area, or the area that you get students from, are far and wide.
32 different school districts in the Hudson Valley.
Yeah.
32.
Yeah, that's huge.
That is.
So, and you have a great dedicated board. I know some of the board members personally, great people. My former partner here, Scott Harrington, was the president of your board for a while, I think, and on the board, and certainly the staff and the founders, Jamie and Susan, have done an amazing job over these years developing it. We'll get through this. I think it's hopefully what we call a bump in the road, but next few months I think are going to be a little difficult. So if anyone's looking for rewarding work, as Don was saying, and just not collecting a paycheck, but helping someone's life, and these kids are so cute as buttons. They are.
Right.
And as a nonprofit, we're looking for donations. You can do that on our website. Support us, support our students, because the work we do is life-changing. It does. It so puts these lives on a different course than they would have taken otherwise. So it's really important.
And also life-changing for the staff.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. So, Lisa, thank you for doing all you're doing. I know it's not easy, but keep at it and keep turning the stones. Figure out no stone left
Every day
unturned.
I think of a new strange stone.
All right, Lisa Galena, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Really
David Jurin,
appreciate
thank
it.
you very much for all you're doing and what you've done for the community. How long have you been in this job now?
Oh, I've been here for 6 years.
Oh, okay. You're a veteran.
Well, it would seem so, but it doesn't seem that. We've got employees who have been there for a lot longer than me.
No, I know that.
But thank you again for having me, Don and Tony. It's just always nice to come and visit and talk about our students.
Same here. We'll keep you in the loop, and everyone, have a great weekend out there. Be kind, be safe, and help somebody out less fortunate. Go. Instead of being part of the problem, be part of the solution, Don, right?
That'd be remarkable.
All right, folks.
Just don't do the thunder.
Yeah, no thundering. No thundering. Yeah.
David, thank you.
Yep.
Lost in